Yeah, red is often a colour associated with what? You think about it. If you can't beat them, join them. Join them again. And try and beat them from the inside out. Because it's not going to work from the outside in. I found a post from orinoco, or as many used to call him, orinoco flow, because it's really better. And he always writes at the end of his name, answers are free, true answers cost dollars extra. Now I see he's got research time equals $1,200 per day plus expenses, payable in advance. Contact by email to reserve time and arrange payment. Currently booking new clients 6 months out, so be prepared for a long wait. I'm just going to say before I go into this that I've always considered this guy, orinoco, who's extremely anonymous because he's a scared whatever he is. I won't even call him names, but he is full of himself. And I'll just give you this on a good point of orinoco, is that he is very scientifically well read, and he has researched a lot of stuff, and he's got a very good brain, so he's actually not a typical XXY really, with learning disabilities and all that sort of stuff, and that's great. And I will bow down to orinoco for a lot of things that he does do, but just on the other side he gives off this impression that he is God, you know. And I actually read this thing that I'm talking about now, not at the very start of the thread of the post. I won't go to where I read somebody else's post to him, sort of saying to him, hey orinoco, I didn't mean what you got from it. And do you know what I mean? Like, she wrote something in her post, and orinoco thought that she was having a go at him and said, oh, you're very friendly. And this is his way of stabbing people, is to be sarcastic and using his intelligence to use words to prove his extreme skills and intelligence over the other person, which is quite sick really, because everybody, regardless of how they speak and how they write, is actually intelligent in for themselves to get through their own lives, and sometimes they need help, yes, and he's charging dollars for it, whereas I'm more give it to you for free. So, and we have argued on the war in America and all that sort of stuff, and he has he equally, and I could find the post there of him talking about Europe being third world country. Ridiculous information he was throwing out there anyway. And it wasn't okay for me to throw out information on the crap America, no, because it's an American side, XXY Talk, and I'm not allowed to throw out my stuff, my facts on America, no, of course not. And I'm not allowed to get things wrong, like I explained in my last video about Andre and myself in my bio. Now, I'm being sarcastic myself there, because of course I'm allowed to do that, especially if this guy orinoco is allowed to do it too. And if he wants to tell me his name is Oniniko, then you can, man, but speak to me in Japanese, because I do think I remember you saying you speak Japanese. You can speak to me in Japanese, because I have a very, very good friend here who speaks fluent Japanese, including his wife. So, anyway, here we go. Without further ado, sorry for the going on and on, because the emotions are high here, people. High. This is the other guy who got me kicked off XXY Talk. His post here, rant. So I was doing some research looking for articles, and decided that yet another site had exactly nothing of use in it. When I hit upon a grand scheme, I'd just type it into Google and get 6 different articles written by someone with an alarming sense of comparable thought. Then I went back and looked at the author, some lunatic by the name of orinoco. Sigh. Maybe someday the world will actually care enough to study the matter of XXY. Okay, that's what he wrote. So, praising himself. And that's okay, because what he has written for a lot of things is great. Then he says another post, of course I can just see these results now. Actually, I did last week. Can we say, please shoot me again? So I was seeing this doctor, whom wisely deciphered XXY as Klinefelter syndrome, and had tried to be helpful by providing me with some very up-to-date knowledge garnered from some website, an OK info site, he says, and some writings from bodies like ours by this orinoco person. Joy, this doctor's theory for fixing the problem was based on a hypothesis I wrote a couple of years ago. How does it go? Hanged on one's own petard. Myself, I don't even get this language, but hey. Sometimes I don't know how to tell one of these doctors that, hey dunce, and yeah you, the guy in the white lab coat, please stop quoting me to me as the means of justifying your position on why you think that is the way to go. Is there some reason the medical system in America can't certify us users of the system to manage our own health care? This is getting ridiculous. Just to make a little side note, people, this is the guy who took apart my idea of free healthcare, do you care, poll that I put on xxytalk. Sometimes I wonder that various doctors, participants of chat sites, etc., or just people in general, aren't willing to understand. And just on a side note there again, people, it's unbelievable that this guy actually did that to me. Like, you know, he wasn't willing to understand me. Theoretically, behind all the locked doors, there are real scientists using some version of the scientific method to actually study and test. The key being test theories about genetics and the functional elements of the body. Good news, the US government is doing research into CAH, which is sort of close to XXY, people. A lot less than more, but it's still closer than everything else. If you are managing your own healthcare, and this is good advice, this next point, if you're managing your own healthcare, it would be a really good idea to start a diary every time you change treatments, or something significant in life happens and your moods or feelings change noticeably. Write it down, then you can go back, as I often do, and relook at why you made some choice 2, 3 or 10 years ago, and more importantly, why you made that choice. I haven't found anything more complex than the inner workings of the human body, specifically relating to the endocrine system. It seems that every layer is interlinked with at least three other layers, and they all do different things. One can't simply raise one stat or lower another without significantly shifting balances of many other points in the system. Perhaps the most complex entity I've been trying to isolate in the function of memory related to Alzheimer's, but different in that it is specifically hormonally driven. Right, and this person comes in, who I will keep anonymous. It just goes to show that this is the only information out there, and your opinion as expounded on the net 2 years ago is the one which makes the most sense. Hey, you could approach your doc and say you were a friend of this guy Oneinko, like it's Clark Kent knowing this guy's Superman. Say to him, Oneinko's been doing some further work on this in the ensuing 2 years. See if the doc would rather go by the writings of a complete stranger who could be talking complete rubbish over and above the person standing right in front of them. Then Oneinko comes in again and says, Hazel, I positively love your messages between the lines. So friendly. Believe it or not, your choice, but I do use a studied methodology. However, my schedule is limited to me, since I am near, as I can tell, in that 1% category of XXYers that really don't fit the common group. Most of what I'm learning regards of me doesn't apply to most of the rest of you, which is why I talk about the more simple things. Oh, please, you do not talk about simple things. Health above all, and emphasize with the intersex transgender group. Shrug. Deal with it. Now, that is what I read. I read that, and I don't find Oneinko at all encouraging. I don't find Oneinko a person that is willing to listen to others. I don't find Oneinko somebody who is polite. He's essentially a rude person who's full of himself, and he won't come down. And we know, everybody knows somebody like that in the world. You know, and I could find posts now that where I was dealing with this guy, and you know, he just, again, like Andre, took me down, and these are the people that took me down. I don't understand what's the point, the reasoning behind taking somebody down when they've simply just got a different opinion to yourself. And actually, so many times I didn't have a different opinion to Oneinko. I actually agreed with him, but he didn't want me to say what he was saying because he wanted to take all the credit for it. Blah blah blah. I wasn't looking for credit, so. Yeah, I'm slowly going to work through the site instead of, I'm never going to be waiting to be asked back onto xxytalk. It's never going to happen. I don't really mind about what's going to happen here at the level of copyright, because as we all know, you've all got burned DVDs and burned CDs in your houses, every single one of you. You know, copyright rules are out the window, so the sooner the better that copyright really has an important stamp there in the world, and people can't take what other people have done, the better, because then I'll be a millionaire with my music. Goodbye, people.